Ahoy everybody! Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. This one was actually a small request as well. I was actually asked, I got a DM and asking me to do like an Ask Reddit kind of thing and just to like react to some like the answers on there, and I'll even add in some of my answers as well. So I picked, what is a disturbing fact you wish you never knew? Heads up, this one is apparently marked NSFW. It's not safe for work. So, if you are actually sitting at work, hopefully you do have your headphones on or something like that. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't know what's on this yet, so we're just gonna scroll through and we're just gonna, just go through them together. So let's start off with what I know. What is a disturbing fact I wish that I never knew? So let's start off with mine. Let's go with my answer first before we kind of like jump into and read everyone else's on Reddit. So what's a disturbing fact that I wish I never knew? I learned that the chainsaw was actually not designed for what you think it's used for, like chopping down trees. It was actually used for, it was an assistant for women to give birth. There's a bone down there that back then, I guess not a lot of things could cut through it, so somebody invented the chainsaw to cut that bone in order to, like if it was like a difficult birth and the baby wasn't coming out, that's how they did it. Yeah, I think it was invented by two doctors back in 1780, and I don't know, that scares me, as if like childbirth wasn't scary enough for some, myself included. That's rather disturbing in my opinion. So it really, and then eventually it evolved to what it is used for today, or if you're really into Chainsaw Massacre, then could also be used to dismember limbs and stuff like that. But so that's mine. So let's see what Redditors say, what their disturbing fact is. So we got one from Too Shy for Reddit, and they said that one can be aware they are in a coma and not able to get out of it. I get anxious just thinking about it. That also sounds pretty scary. And there's a response just below from Jane's Films saying, I was just released from a 5-week hospital stay and I had multiple different roommates during my stay. One of them was a woman who had a massive stroke. She would cry and wail and get frustrated and rip out her catheter. She would poop herself and then tear into the diaper, getting feces under her nails and all over herself and the bed. Her family would try asking her questions, if she was in pain, if she was hungry, if she was uncomfortable. But the more agitated she became, the less she was able to communicate anything. She couldn't talk, just moaned and cried. It was absolutely terrifying. Her family would say that they understood how frustrating it was for her, so I am guessing she was trapped in there. Her body just couldn't cooperate and left her stuck in this useless husk. I really hope she wasn't aware in there. It sounds awful, but I hope her brain was damaged enough that she wasn't having coherent thoughts. Any way you look at it, a stroke is scary. Even though she kept me up all hours, I just felt really sorry for her. She was showing slight improvement though. She had an NG feeding tube taken out because she started being able to chew her food. I briefly had an NG tube during my stay and it was awful. I freaked out so badly they had to remove it because I felt like I was drowning and couldn't breathe. Total anxiety attack, and you can feel the tube in your throat, so it feels like a huge lump constantly choking you and causing you to gag. That stroke lady had her NG tube for weeks, and I couldn't stand it longer for more than 45 minutes. It was torturous. I really hope she wasn't capable of the kind of thinking that would make her aware and cognizant of being trapped in a completely broken and useless body that she was unable to control. Absolutely terrifying. Okay, so those were two very terrifying stories. to be in a coma and to be aware of everything, but not being able to move, talk, literally anything. And then the other lady, I didn't know you could actually get that from a stroke. Gosh, it's really weird. The human body can be so resilient to things, but can also be so fragile all at the same time. That's really scary. I would not want that to happen to anybody I know, to myself, to anyone. That's horrifying. It's almost like it's like in The Last of Us, right? The cordyceps take over your body, but then you're fully aware of what's happening. Imagine and then your body eats somebody too, and you know, you're in there, you're stuck, you can't do anything about it, and yeah, like it's scary in a horror show or game. It's scary in real life. Gosh, that's terrifying. Here's one from Don't You Know. It's illegal in India to find out the gender of your baby because so many prefer boys over girls. And I'm pretty sure they do this in China. Let's see if someone said that. Yeah, somebody does say just like in China. They all prefer boys over girls. In my opinion, that's very short-sighted. If you have a nation full of boys, what the hell are they gonna do? There's no girls for them to chase. There's no girls for them to date. And it's very dumb too, because like it's kind of like, oh, you carry on the name, that kind of stuff. Because like, a lot of females, when they get married, they kind of lose their name, and a lot of families kind of like, oh yeah, no, I want my name to keep going. I think it's stupid, but all right, whatever floats your boat, I guess. I don't agree with it at all. Here's one from the real McWeasel. When I visited Sri Lanka, I was nearly perpetually asked by locals if I wanted to hire children for sex. Ugh. One man tried to sell me his 5-year-old daughter. When I refused, he presumed I was gay and offered a small boy instead. Like, what the I don't even know what to say about this. This disgusts me to no end. Exploiting kids. Like, they're kids. Like, hell, even if you're here and you go to jail for like, to do anything with like CP, you're gonna get destroyed in jail. Like, you don't mess with kids. That's just so wrong. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here's another one. Scarves for Frumpkin says, just how painful and torturous extreme radiation sickness is. Imagine feeling your muscles and organs dissolve inside your body while skin just sloughs off, while being fully conscious and feeling everything. Have you watched Chernobyl? Remember that one scene where like that one guy, I think he was like a firefighter, he was screaming, and then his skin was like falling off? That just sounds like you're being put into like a microwave. Because like in a microwave, like it heats things up from like the inside out, right? It's taking all your liquids and heating that up first. So imagine all that boiling inside of you, dissolving, and you're out here, you can't do a thing about it. You're feeling everything, but then on the outside, your skin is also just falling off. Real life is a lot scarier than, like horror movies, horror games, anything that is, that's I have no words. That's actually kind of scary. I can actually kind of just imagine that right now. Like, oh, I cannot imagine that. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't want to. Like, it's just way too painful. Suven Pan says, a toddler's adult teeth are right below their eyes. I didn't know it was actually that far up. That sounds horrifying, but I have seen x-rays of, a child's skull, and there's just so many teeth. It looks like a monster, to be completely honest. This is why, like, literally you're giving birth to like a tumor with lots and lots of teeth and disgustingness. Ugh. Fat and Lean says, wow, my fact was going to be bagged salads and other packaged foodstuffs are allowed to have a certain level of insect pieces in them. Reddit got me beat today. And then somebody said, chocolate is the same way. People who get migraines from chocolate are allergic to insect parts. It's very interesting. I might actually have to do a little bit of digging on that. I didn't even know. I mean, insect pieces, like, I mean, even if you open up a bag of food, you're going to see an insect in there. I mean, they also kind of, when you grow vegetables, you're going to have insects. But it's interesting that it's allowed to have like a certain level of them. That makes sense, I guess. But chocolate, though, isn't very interesting. Guess you get migraines from chocolates because you're allergic to insect parts. All right. I guess I'm not allergic to insect parts. I can tell you that. The child voice actress from All Dogs Go to Heaven died as a direct result of horrific child abuse. And then someone said she was also the voice of Ducky in The Land Before Time. I remember this. That is just heartbreaking. I can't. I'm not gonna go into this. And here's someone else, Spade 13F, says rabies. Just everything about rabies. If you scroll down a little bit, where's Jake Wellen at? He's crediting someone else. He didn't write it. It's a well-known copy pasta that originated on Reddit in another thread. So here's what it says. Rabies is scary. Rabies is exceptionally common, but people just don't run into animals that carry it often. Skunks especially, and bats. Let me paint you a picture. You go camping, and at midday you decide to take a nap in a nice little hammock. While sleeping, a tiny brown bat, in the rage stages of infection, is fidgeting in broad daylight, uncomfortable and thirsty due to hydrophobia, and you snort, startling him. He goes into attack mode. Except you're sleeping, and he's a little brown bat, so he weighs about 6 grams. You don't even feel him land on your bare knee, and he starts to bite. His teeth are tiny, hardly enough to even break the skin, but he does manage to give you the equivalent of a tiny scrape that goes completely unnoticed. Rabies does not travel in your blood. In fact, a blood test won't even tell you if you've got it. I actually didn't know that. Antibody tests may be done, but are useless if you've ever been vaccinated. You wake up, none the wiser, if you notice anything at the bite site at all. You assume you just likely scraped it on something. The bomb has been lit, and your nervous system is the wick. The rabies will multiply along your nervous system, doing virtually no damage and completely undetectable. You literally have no symptoms. It may be 4 days, it may be a year, but the camping trip is most likely long forgotten. Then one day, your back starts to ache. Or maybe you get a slight headache. At this point, you're already dead. There is no cure. I didn't know this about rabies. I always knew it was scary. Could you imagine? It's silent, it's dormant for years, and the moment you start to feel any symptoms at all, you're done. Oof. The sole caveat to this is the Milwaukee Protocol, which leaves most patients dead anyways, and the survivors mentally disabled and is seldom done. There's no treatment. It has 100% kill rate. Absorb that, not a single other virus on the planet has 100% kill rate. Only rabies. And once you're symptomatic, it's over. You're dead. So what does that look like? Your headache turns into a fever, and a general feeling of being unwell. You're fidgety, uncomfortable, and scared, as the virus that has taken its time getting into your brain finds a vast network of nerve endings. Ooh. It begins to rapidly reproduce, starting at the base of your brain, where your pons are located. This is the part of the brain that controls communication between the rest of the brain and body, as well as sleep cycles. Next, you become anxious. You still think you only have a mild fever, but suddenly you find yourself becoming scared, even horrified. And it doesn't occur to you that you don't know why. This is because the rabies is chewing up your amygdala. Okay. As your cerebellum becomes hot with the virus, you begin to lose muscle coordination and balance. You think maybe it's a good idea to go to the doctor now, but assuming a doctor is smart enough to even run the tests necessary in the few days you have left on the planet, odds are they'll only be able to tell your loved ones what you die of later. You're twitchy, shaking, and scared. You have the normal fear of not knowing what's going on, but with the virus really the amygdala, this is the amplified 100-fold. It's around this time that hydrophobia starts. You're horribly thirsty, you just want water, but you can't drink. Every time you do, your throat clamps shut and you vomit. This has become a legitimate, active fear of water. You're thirsty, but looking at a glass of water begins to make you gag and shy back in fear. The contradiction is hard for your hot brain to see at this time. By now, the doctors will have to put IVs to keep you hydrated, but even that's futile. You were dead the second you had a headache. You begin hearing things, or not hearing at all as your thalamus goes. Your taste goes. You see smells. Everything starts feeling like the most horrifying and trip anyone has ever been on. With your hippocampus long under attack, you're having trouble remembering things, especially family. Oh no, that's my biggest fear. You're alone, hallucinating, thirsty, confused, and absolutely, undeniably terrified. Everything scares the literal shit out of you at this point. These strange people in lab coats, these strange people standing around your bed crying, who keep trying to keep you or to get you to drink something, and crying. And it's only been about a week since that little headache that you've completely forgotten. Time means nothing to you anymore. Funny enough, you know how the bat felt when he bit you. Eventually, you slip into the dumb rabies phase. Your brain has started the process of shutting down. Too much of it has turned to liquid virus. Your face droops, you drool. You're all but unaware of what's around you. A sudden noise or light might startle you, but for the most part, it's all you can do to just stare at the ground. You haven't really slept for about 72 hours. Then you die. Always die. And that's not one thing anyone can do for you. There's that one question of what to do with your corpse. I mean, sure, burying it is the right thing to do. Fucking virus can survive in a corpse for years. You could kill every rabid animal on the planet today, and if 2 years from now, some moist, preserved, rotten hunk of used-to-be brain gets eaten by an animal, it starts all over. So yeah, rabies scares the shit out of me. Fucking everywhere. I can see why they cremate a body if you get rabies. That is horrifying. Nobody, no animal should have to go through that. That is... Okay, so I don't like camping. I hate camping with a passion. And I now hate it more because I had just... I just didn't have a good time out there. It's cold. I don't like having to poop in an outhouse. I know, I'm a bathroom princess. I admit it. I like being in my house. I like AC when you can have it, when it's hot out. And when it's cold, I can blast the heat. I understand some people like to get away with nature and be one with nature. That's what hikes are for. Whoops. That's what hikes are for me. I can be with nature and then go back home to the comfort of my own home. I know, I'm a princess. I admit that. I can do glamping if I really want to. But this just added another reason why I don't want to go camping. But not even that. It's just like literally going outside. Like literally you can catch this from anything. Like you don't even know. Like a small scrape. And you don't think twice about it. You're like, oh, I must have bumped my... Like, I sometimes wake up and I get like a scrape. Like, I might scratch myself at night. That's what another thing. You could just think that, hey, I scratched myself at night. Not realizing it might have just been that little bat that kind of caught rabies. And he went into the scary phase and bit you. Yeah, I know we all die, but I don't want to go out by rabies. Like... I'd rather get into like a skydiving accident, This is also why I don't let the cat out. I know like some people are against that and they believe that, cats should be outside. I don't want my cat dying of rabies. I don't want it to get run over by a car. I don't want it to be eaten by... There's tons of coyotes here actually. They come out and they will attack smaller animals. They will eat them. I don't want that to happen. Like, why would I put my cat through that? And even if she lives, like, that's a massive vet bill as well, too. And that's not something I would be like, oh my goodness. Like, yes, I'm going to be paying for it, but, like, that's just, I don't know. And plus, she also likes being inside. You take her outside now, she goes right back in and starts yelling at you. Like, why did you do that to me? Oh, guys, the internet is a rough place today on this thread. Relatively relative. I overheard a nurse's conversation in a hospital. All of her uncles took their turn. When I asked the father if he did too, he said, I only fingered her a little bit. How can someone do this to their own 14-month daughter? 14 months? don't even know how to process this right now. All the uncles and the dad, fingers hurt a little bit. She's 14 months, guys. Like, to all those who literally say, oh, it's what you wear, it's your makeup, that is complete BS, because clearly this isn't the case. This is a 14-month-old baby. Like, this happens to babies and old people. I'm pretty sure it's not what they're wearing. I'm pretty sure it's not the way they look. This is like literally, like, this is absolutely disgusting. Like, all these people deserve to go in hell and have a pineapple shoved up their ass every minute of the day they're down there. Like, this is horrifying. Oh my goodness. I want to stop, but I can't. Let's see if I can find. Oh my goodness. Are there like any, like, you know, like, kind of like, I felt like mine was tame compared to a lot of these stories. Furious Rage SE says the youngest girl to get pregnant was 5 years old. There's a wiki page about it. And of course, there's another comment saying, and the father was a family member. Why is it always a fucking family member? Jesus Christ. 5! Oh my god, I can't. Oh. You don't want something so disgusting though, you can't look away? No, I'm not on the wiki page. I don't plan on... No, but... Oh my goodness, I can't stop scrolling. Lurid Sun says, in Dubai, I've witnessed the acts of human trafficking and illegal prostitution. I've tried my best to get in onto the light at the time I was there, but everyone there kind of aware of it already and said that no one can or will do shit here. Even the daughter of the crowned king, a literal princess, had tried to escape the country but was caught and brought back. I left the country the next week. Couldn't stand the thought of it. You know, Dubai, on the outside, when you look at photos, it looks awesome. You know, like big buildings, it's, you know, groundbreaking. They have like, they're breaking records and shit. But you just know that all that is literally a cover for some pretty messed up stuff. And a little bit of a tangent here. Like, I'm a big F1 fan, but like, we really don't go to Dubai, guys. But hey, cash is king, right? But yeah, it's a really weird place. There's another comment just down below here. I scroll down a little bit from Ahelia saying, and people willingly go there. Boggles the mind. One place I'll never go to. Unmarried women in particular can be jailed for having sex with her boyfriend. Or if she's raped by locals, then she's also jailed. There is just no women rights. That is just... makes me mad. There's absolutely none. How is that her fault? Like, how? And people choose to not get married, you know? You can just be common law, but obviously on paper you're not married, so now you get jailed for that. Yeah, I don't ever... It's not even on my bucket list at all. The photos itself, looking at the buildings are nice. And actually, here's a fun fact. It kind of goes with the disturbing, but not quite disturbing. Like, at the Burj Dubai, there's actually no septic system. When you flush the toilet, it all goes into like this tank, and there's literal there's trucks that come in every day to carry truckloads of shit out of the Burj Dubai. You know, like, you built this massive building to show off to the world, and you don't even have a proper like system in place. So like, there's literally like people who have jobs to drive poop out of the city and bury it outside of the city. It's just so weird. I just had to add that. Here's one more, because I think I'm kind of done with this thread. Kaidi Wump says, the suicide rates of young women before and after the release of the first smartphones. Spoiler alert, it spiked and hasn't gone down since. That is a very depressing fact. Like, growing up, we didn't have smartphones, and when you got bullied at school, because I got bullied a lot, I could go home and escape that until the next day, right? Now, cyberbullying is a thing. And there are also, and not just even cyberbullying, like, now you can't escape that, obviously. If you're being bullied at school, you're now having, you know, like, messages, you know, like, social media, all that kind of stuff, just bombarded at you. It's nonstop. You can't escape it. And it's not even that. If you have like any sorts of like self-esteem issues and stuff like that, literally, like when you go on like Instagram or something like that, what do you usually see? You know, like super skinny people, like, or like, and a lot of these photos that's being taken are like, oh, you have to have the right lighting, they have tons of makeup on, they're posing at like certain angles and all that stuff, they're sucking in their stomach. Like we all know how to like that, how to pose like that, right? But like all these images are constantly just being thrown at a lot of these young women, and it's really sad. Like it, like I can see like, you know, like depression rates like skyrocketing. Like it really fucks with your self-esteem. And I was just kind of glad I wasn't really bombarded with that stuff growing up, but I can't imagine what it's like now. It's almost like it's another reason why I'm also kind of like afraid to like have kids too, because like you can't get you, sure, you can kind of control what they look at on the internet, like that's your, you know, like that's your job as a parent, but you can only control so much. Like you, it's not like you're hovering them 24/7, and you also really shouldn't. You should also let them grow and develop to be their own person. But like just during that time, like they're now, you know, looking at stuff that it would affect them in like negative, in very negative ways, and you can't stop that. It's a really, it's a sad reality. And yeah, I'm just like, I feel for the younger generations. It saddens me, and yeah, I can see why suicide rates have spiked and hasn't gone down since, and I don't think it'll ever go down. Oh, guys, I'm just so sad. This is so depressing. I am sorry I picked such a depressing topic. I think I'm done with the internet for today. There's yeah, you know, society. But anyways, guys, if you enjoy my content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you do find any threads that you want me to cover, feel free to just throw it down in the comments below, and you know, I'll get to them. So hey, stay shiny, guys.